Welcome to Rematch, where we relive some of football's greatest games with some of the most passionate fans you will find. I'm Lyes Bouzidi, and today I am joined by the wonderful Laurence McKenna and Ade Oladipo. Now, I feel like it's fitting because today we have a very, very special episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about one of the greatest games in the history of football, the Miracle of Istanbul, the 2005 Champions League final between Liverpool and AC Milan. And I think it was very fitting for you guys to both join us today as you support Liverpool.
Yeah, right. And we were of a certain age to remember it. Weren't we, Lawrence?
We can actually remember.
We can actually remember.
Can you tell us your age at that point? Or is that...
I don't think your agents allow you to mention
19.
That, yeah. We were both at the point where you can understand football.
Yes.
And it's kind of like we knew roughly what was going on at the time. I just don't think tactics were there was very little analysis of the game back then, apart from someone made some subs and that changed things.
That was it.
That was about it.
In a way, it's refreshing, no?
It felt so much purer back then.
You know, it's funny because I was actually watching a couple of the goals back and I was thinking, ooh, VAR would have got involved here.
Interesting. What with
VAR would have got involved
we
here.
can
We can talk about that.
We can talk about that.
This is interesting.
But in the build-up to this game, first and foremost, do you guys remember where you were?
Yeah, where were you?
I was in my council flat in Stratford with a Newcastle fan, a good friend of mine called Kwame, who was battering me.
Right.
Yeah, to the point where it nearly got physical between us.
Right.
You know, when they got 1-0, 2-0, it's like laughing, and they don't take it serious as you do. And you're like, why are you laughing? This is very, very serious.
Yeah.
So that's where I was in my flat. The TV nearly got smashed. It was one of those big TVs. You know the TVs with the big back?
Yeah.
With the massive back.
You might not remember
You don't remember these, do you?
But
Wow.
If you wanted a widescreen in your house, the house had to be a certain size, or you had to be willing to compromise on the rest of the room.
Yeah.
And it was basically like the TV would be the width and length of this table.
Yeah.
So watching Champions League was that was the real thing at the
For
time.
a lot of people listening right now, what you're describing might sound like 50 years old. This is only 20 years ago.
This is kind of what I was saying. Was like I think of when I was born and how I look back at like the Liverpool 60s and 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, wow, that feels so long ago. And now this is for this generation of people watching football are just taking it up. So it's kind of interesting. I was just at home and I remember my dad that season had this thing where he said, I'm bad luck when I watch Liverpool.
That you're bad luck?
No, he's
bad luck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he left, we watched all of the build-up and then he left the room.
For the game.
You should have called him back at
Where did he
half-time.
go?
Here's the weird thing. He came in for the first half and said, let's test it. And no joke, obviously I'm not saying we influenced Champions League final, but he went for a walk in the second half.
Good dad.
Yeah.
Good
and when he
dad.
came back, it was 3-0.
That's incredible.
Good dad.
That is an incredible story.
Yeah. Incredible that I'd make it all about me.
Yeah. So your dad won the Champions League.
He won the Champions League.
Amazing.
No.
Yeah.
Gerard, Dudek,
McKenna.
If we talk a little bit about the build-up to the game, obviously I think as extraordinary as the final was itself, your run to that final was in its own way a bit extraordinary.
Dude, the group stages, I think
Dude, we came second in the group.
it was very mixed.
Was it Monaco? Monaco were top of the group, weren't they?
And we were desperate to get through to the point where then it gets to...
That's a Monaco team that won Champions League final the year before, no?
Yeah, that Monaco
they were
team
really
was
good.
really good. Really good.
And we end up with Morientes
Brighton are
in our
probably better than
show
Monaco now, by the way.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Bournemouth are
That's
better.
how crazy football is. By the way.
Crystal Palace might be better
Crystal
than
Palace
that
could be
Monaco
better than
side
Monaco.
now. Mateta does a job against that back line today.
Yeah.
You know, there were some weird players in there.
Yeah.
Dude, he's being kind. There were some awful players in there.
Look at that squad. Igor Bishkan.
I feel bad.
was
He's
a
the
Champions
one.
League
Why
player.
does everyone say that? Because he's the name that gets mentioned all the time. Igor Bishkan.
He's just painted as the face of mediocrity at Liverpool.
He was
him
pretty
and
gangly.
Him and Traore were that.
Liverpool had profiled a bunch of players at the end of the Houllier era as being tall. And that was, it was Plessis.
Tall and gangly.
And tall, gangly, ungainly.
It's not too different to the game now then, I guess, right?
But it
No,
was
but now they're tall and big.
Yeah, they're powerful.
Now, when I look at the
Yeah.
Arsenal squad, they're just tall and massive.
They're
Liverpool were
grown
tall
men, yeah.
and skinny.
But it was
Like
this
Traore probably weighed what you weigh.
no
Was
joke.
like 6'2".
Soaking wet.
Yeah, soaking wet.
And you have better foot coordination than Jimmy Traore has.
You've seen me play?
Yeah, I have. And we've also seen Jimmy Traore play. And he didn't have a great season for Liverpool. You know, we were talking about the FA Cup, weren't we?
Burnley.
Yeah.
When he
Put in his own net.
and then he hit the post. Do you remember him kicking the post with frustration?
Yeah.
And I wanted to smash the TV. So then I saw him start in the Champions League final. I was like, oh, we're done, aren't we?
Well, I wanted
we
to talk
were.
a little bit about that season, right? Because obviously it's not bar the Champions League, it wasn't a vintage season to that point in the league and
What's
any
the
of the cup
opposite of
competitions.
Freshly pressed. It felt very fresh.
Forgettable, maybe?
Yeah.
Forgettable.
You know what? It was memorable for many reasons, not just the Champions League. It was pretty memorable because actually there was this worry that we brought in this manager to go and take us to the next level. and that we hadn't really hit that, and we weren't really finding our groove.
I think you're being generous. Everton finished above you in the league
by one place, and ultimately we took that place away from them. We got into the Champions League, so who cares?
But my point is,
what did we get? 55 points or something?
It was pretty low.
Incredible.
When you think about that now, like finishing 5th, how low that is.
So did the Champions League almost feel like salvation? A bit like Chelsea in 2012, where the league was going so wrong that the Champions League felt like one last chance of making the season right.
I think that's when it all started for Liverpool and these talks of Champions League nights at Anfield. I think that's the season when it began.
Really?
It's funny. Yeah, I really do think that obviously, look, everyone talks about the Olympiacos game, and I think that's when it began. Right? I think that's fair. That Steven Gerrard goal was the moment of the season. Probably one of the moments of all time for Liverpool Football Club in terms of what it meant.
Yeah, you're right.
I want to look at the Milan side first and foremost, because when we talk about AC Milan, one of the greatest football clubs in the history of the game, but this almost did feel like them at their absolute best. If you take away the Saki team, right, this looks like a vintage AC Milan team.
I've argued this. Obviously, look, the Barcelona side under Pep, that 3-man midfielder, Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta, it's incredible. But in terms of a 4-man midfield, this is the greatest 4-man midfield I think we've seen in Champions League football. In terms of experience, in terms of just a different profile of players. Seedorf, Kaká, Crespo, Gattuso is frightening. Kaká was, 23, 24 at his peak. Yeah. Gattuso was, I think, 27, 28.
Yeah, Gattuso was sort of hitting, he was just this formidable guy that would just go out there and kind of absolutely just take charge of games. They had Pirlo, obviously. And then they also had Ambrosini, who was kind of like
this game was actually Seedorf.
Right, and then there's Seedorf as well. Seedorf's incredible, but that was behind and basically feeding this front two who were just killers. Yeah. Hernan Crespo and Shevchenko. And they played like this kind of lopsided...
Inzaghi wasn't even in the squad.
Right.
They had Inzaghi, who didn't even make the Champions League squad.
They had Rui Costa on the bench. Towards the end of his career, but still, that's ridiculous.
And I know this might sound funny, but John Dahl Thomason at the time...
is there as well.
Was scoring goals in Europe. But that front two, and then Stam at the back with Nesta.
Like Maldini and Cafu.
Dida in goal, Brazil's number 1, who was like 6'4", 6'5", and made the goal look like a small goal. Honestly, you look at that 11 and it's frightening.
It feels like fantasy football.
It's a joke. In terms of experience, youth, medals won, not just in Europe, but in terms of international football as well. You've got players in that squad that have won the World Cup.
Yeah. Cafu was, he's an incredible player. And not only that, but they were playing... Everyone was shifting to a 4-5-1.
Yeah.
And they were playing 4-4-2.
4-4-2.
And that was Ancelotti's specialty, wasn't it? The diamond.
It was that diamond. And I remember back then, we used to play a lot of FIFA and Pro Evo. It was this lopsided 4-4-2. So it kind of felt like a 4-5-1. It felt like, sometimes one of the two strikers would drop a little bit deeper. Yeah. And then that would allow the other one to run in behind the back line. The coordination and what Ancelotti was doing with that side was so... zigging when football was zagging. It was just going the other way. Yeah. And everyone was just locking down. And we got a bit of a run to the Champions League final by playing this really defensive 4-5-1, especially in the semi-finals. And we suddenly came up against
the ultimate version
the ultimate Italian team under Carlo. And they were so confident. They were swaggering around.
They won the Champions League 2 years prior as well, too, against Juventus.
And let's not forget, they won the Champions League 2 years later with pretty much the same squad.
Against us.
In Athens. Yeah. Same manager. And that's another thing as well we don't really speak about. We do now, but in hindsight, it's easy. But Carlo Ancelotti, he's one of the greatest managers of all time.
Of course.
Wasn't then, but what he would go on to do. So we weren't just playing one of the greatest AC Milan sides of all time. We're playing against one of the greatest managers of all time as well.
So basically... the odds were up against you. I think that's kind of what we're getting at. And when you look at the Liverpool team on the night, Laurence, you said you could name the whole entire side. Not too many memorable players when you talk about the history of Liverpool Football Club. But let's run through this 11 real quick.
So Dudek was in goal. Yes. And he was a goalkeeper that at the time, again, context, I know now he's gone to go play for Real Madrid. Rafa didn't want him. He wanted Pepe Reina. He wanted a Spanish goalkeeper. He wanted a different guy. So Dudek was kind of seen as this, halfway house, whatever it is.
He's gone at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It was guaranteed Dudek was gone at the end of the season regardless of what.
Exactly. Yeah. That doesn't fill a goalkeeper with confidence. And I think at the time, it's fair to say he was a little bit shaky. It was he wasn't the...
We had that though, didn't we? Remember we had Sander Westerfield?
Right.
Remember we had shaky goalkeepers from David James onwards was the Liverpool thing.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah. And then the back line, obviously, Jamie Carragher was in there, but Jamie Carragher, still quite young at that time.
Would have been about 24.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people forget he hasn't played his whole career at centre-back. Like, he's really just transitioning into centre-back at that point. He played right back and anywhere across the back line. And then, obviously, I'm a big fan of Steve Finnan, so I'll never... slag Steve
No,
Finnan
but
off.
Steve Finnan will never ever get near a Liverpool 11. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Premier League 11.
Oh, that's interesting because
Oh, it's always
I
gonna
have
be-
this
it's always
weird
gonna be
opinion
Trent,
that Steve
isn't it?
Finnan in the modern game would actually be pretty.
He would be like Andy Robertson.
Yeah,
He would be a
Be
bit
the
like
Robbo
Andy
on the right
Robertson.
back,
It'd be
yeah.
like,
A
but
bit
one
ahead of
thing
his
we
time.
did have, that centre back pairing though of Carragher and Hippier,
Hippier.
solid.
I feel
Solid
Hippier
but
is
slow.
Hippier is so underrated because he's slow.
yeah.
But it was so
it's the
slow.
slowest centre back pairing
Yeah.
in the history of Premier League football.
So
but
Hippier read the game so well.
defensively,
Yeah.
the mental side of things, fantastic.
But you see that getting taken apart
Yeah.
pretty comprehensively. And then obviously, weirdly, Jimmy Traore started left back in this game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jimmy Traore
yeah,
started
yeah,
left
yeah.
back.
I see you looking at that starting
Yeah,
11.
yeah.
Is it in a formation or not?
No, it's not. It's
That's
just
the weird thing.
Yeah.
You'd think John Onorisa
Yeah.
would start left back.
You think John Onorisa would start left back, and you think that Harry Kuehl would start left wing if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, yeah.
But we had Traore and Risa.
Yeah.
Risa started left wing against Chelsea, and he did the same thing. So he kept what got us through to the final, I guess.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And then in midfield, obviously, we had Xabi Alonso, and then obviously Gerrard was just insane. Harry Kuehl?
Harry Kuehl did
was
start the game.
He started the
basically
game, but came off, how many?
23 minutes,
23, yeah.
23.
Yeah.
So Harry Kuehl was basically a number 10 behind Barros. That's how he started it, and Luis Garcia on the right.
Yeah.
So it kind of became a bit like Rafa Benitez's Valencia team. And I think, weirdly, he was kind of trying to play Kuehl in like an Aymar type role.
Yeah.
Where it
free,
was like
free
this,
role.
Yeah, this like creator.
What
and
a
it just,
name drop that was. Pablo Aymar.
Pablo Aymar.
Wow.
Player.
Jeez. I mean, we could do a whole show.
There's got to be a whole series on Pablo Aymar.
Next episode.
But Benitez was kind of obsessed with finding this 10, and I think that's probably, we know about the Gerrard thing in the long term.
Of course.
He was obsessed with finding this creative in the middle that, I'm not quite sure we ever got to. But Milan Baros up front.
Yeah. I mean, Euro 2004.
That's what we bought him on.
Yeah.
We basically bought him. We've done this a lot.
Was he the first example, really, of not being careful when you buy a player off an incredible tournament?
Yeah,
Or
we
at
did-
least
no,
one of the-
No, because he's not the first example because that's why Jimmy Traore was in the team.
Yeah.
And it's also why Salif Diao was at one point in the team. It's one point why
El Hadj
Diouf was at one point in the team.
Yeah.
Senegal had
We've
one
not
good
let-
World Cup,
and we buy everyone.
Yeah.
and we bought the spine of that team.
I remember Salif Diao coming as the next Vieira.
Bro,
I remember 100% we bought the next Vieira.
everyone was the next Vieira back then. That was what Bishkan was meant to
But
be.
look at the bench, by the way.
Yeah. I think the bench is
Horrible bench.
You know, the thing is,
arguably, though, as important as the starting 11 because
There's
of some of
three
the
on the
players that would
bench.
come on.
In retrospect.
in hindsight, there's three on the bench, though, that you're like, okay, they can come on and do something. I look at it now. Didier Man, Cisse, Schmitzer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, Schmitzer was kind of.
He was
We
gone
wanted
as well.
him to be Patrick Berger for us, or like this kind of driving midfield player. Maybe he could have been the 10.
You just
is
said
what
that
we were
because they're
thinking.
both from Czech.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
No, like that's the way
Is
that.
that it?
So back then, you profiled players by nationality.
Yeah.
This guy's Brazilian. He's creative. And then Didi Hamann was obviously German, so he was a good destroyer, very defensive.
Yeah.
And then
And he was.
he was,
And he was.
And Dribbel Cisse was coming off the back of the leg break, coming
Yeah.
back. And actually, if you look at it, Milan Baros was the only player that could have started that Champions League final because we had Neil Mellor, Florence Cinema Pongol, Morientes was cup tied. He was the only option.
That was it.
To be fair, he was a good player. He was, he was a top scorer and done pretty well.
No, in hindsight, when you think about it, obviously Gerrard morphed into that 10, didn't he? A few years later with Fernando Torres.
Of course.
And now you're thinking about it, it really should have been Xabi Alonso with Didi Hamann and Gerrard behind Milan Baros. Like now, you know what I mean? But it is what it is.
When we look at both these 11s, obviously, like I said earlier, it is a mismatch in terms of individual names. If we're putting it, we're just gonna put it bluntly here. It is a mismatch. But
There's only one position on the whole field where we've got a better player than them, and that's Steven Gerrard.
yeah.
And I'll be
One of
honest with
those
you. And I'll be
midfielders.
honest with you. You say that Milan wouldn't swap any of their midfielders. for
yeah, I'm
Gerrard.
sure they would argue that
They would not swap. So
100%.
who would? So
You'd
their
stop
version of
Gattuso
Gerrard
for Gerrard.
Gattuso, yes, but I think Gerrard was more Kaká role.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
a playmaker
Yeah.
role. You're not swapping Kaká for
I think
Gerrard.
a Milan fan at that time could genuinely make the argument we're happy with our 11. We
They
wouldn't
were.
take anyone
The
else.
best 11.
100%.
They walked into this final knowing that they were
With their
by far
Armani
the best
suits.
team.
I mean,
Yeah.
can we say this on paper would be the most one-sided final if the game was played on paper?
How dare you? We
If the
beat
game was played
Chelsea
on
and
paper.
Juventus to get there. It wasn't that one-sided. Like,
But the-
disrespect this.
That, by the way, that Juve
But
game,
if we're
That
going,
Juve game.
I'm saying purely on paper. Obviously, you got there for a reason. But if you look at just individual quality, name for name,
no, I agree.
No, you're right.
there's an argument to be made. This is the most one-sided game in the history of the Champions League or the final.
Yeah,
of
they walked in with their name on the trophy. If that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, and I guess my question for you guys is, how much hope on a scale of 1 to 10 did you guys have of doing the impossible
After 1 minute, none.
before 1 minute?
Everyone basically thought that we might raffle them That was kind of the point. We'd done things, obviously the Olympiacos game, the Luis Garcia's goal against Juve was
Fantastic,
it was probably my favourite Champions League goal ever. He half volleys it bounces, goes over his shoulder, and he catches it so sweetly.
Who's in goal? Who's in goal? Buffon.
Yeah. We beat Leverkusen, and then the Chelsea game, we felt we...
And by the way, that Chelsea side at
Incredible.
the time, it's fully loaded.
Yeah.
Fully loaded.
I mean,
And
it's
Luis
their
Garcia.
15-goal conceded team, right?
Yeah. So you're thinking, if you can do Chelsea, you can do Bayer Leverkusen, Olympiacos, you're thinking you've got a chance. Yeah. But then when you see the lineups, you're thinking, okay.
And then when you concede a goal after 53 seconds, I mean...
And it's their left back.
Yeah. Oh,
do you know what I mean?
It's not just any left back.
The captain.
It's Paolo Maldini after 53 seconds, volleying home an Andrea Pirlo free kick. Does it almost feel like it's over before it's even started in that moment?
It definitely felt deflating, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember, because obviously it felt like they had our number.
Yeah, straight away, because it wasn't Pirlo sending it in the box and it just fell to the feet of Maldini. Yeah. It was a set piece plan.
They planned that.
Yeah, planned it, and you're thinking, wow, this is quite embarrassing.
Something they did a lot by the way in Syria. They had many set pieces.
Yes, like the Premier League was so late to catch up on set piece sort of formations and tactics. Yeah. So when that happened to us, we were like, what's happened here?
Yeah.
So you're watching it back thinking, what's gone on? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was horrible. Cause I remember at the time, it was the worst start to a Champions League final. Yeah. You could tell Liverpool just weren't there. Yeah. They just didn't know the gravity of the situation.
We just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
This is an AC Milan side who a couple of years ago were in the final, so they knew what to do.
We had no pedigree.
What are we doing here? We
had no pedigree, and the last time we've really done anything close to that was, the Europa League or the Europa Cup final in 2001. Yeah. So it's quite a distance, different manager, different setup, different everything.
Different team.
And again, maybe there's an element here of, we were talking before about Rafa being a man manager or being a tactical coach. I think he kind of, in the first half, both of them were poor, because tactically he'd been outthought by Carlo.
Yeah, he got it.
But he hadn't prepared the player. The players just didn't look mentally prepared for this. And everyone was just in shock so quickly. And I remember just being like, how's this going to go?
I try and put myself in the feet of a Liverpool fan in this situation. I probably think to myself, if I'm in 2005, minutes before Champions League final, I'm probably thinking to myself, let's try and keep it tight, keep it scoreless for as long as possible, go late into the game, maybe try and grab a scrappy winner. If I saw my team concede 53 seconds later, I think my head would go.
Yeah, because you're not just that, but the Liverpool wins that we're referring to in the lead up to the final all happened at Anfield, the big ones. Yeah. So you're thinking, we're not at Anfield anymore. Yeah. So that idea of, okay, it's a night at Anfield, it's going to get us through, what are we going to do? And you know what really scared me? I know we'll probably get to it, but it's that Kaká turn on Gerrard for the third goal. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's just done that to our best player. Yeah. So I'm thinking, if that's what's happened to our best player, probably Liverpool's greatest ever player, we're dead. That if Kaká can do that to him, he can do that to anyone on the pitch. And that's when I thought, oh my God, this could be anything. Yeah.
Kaká, all of that midfield turned it on that night. And Crespo looked so hungry, ready. Yeah. Crespo was the danger guy that night, I think.
53 seconds, 1-0 down. I think the important part in that moment is just to kind of settle things down. And Liverpool did, to be fair, right? A few half chances for Harry Kewell. It did feel like maybe Liverpool could be getting back into the game in some way until, of course, Harry Kewell goes down. How big of a loss in the moment did that feel like?
You were only allowed so many subs back then, so it did feel like a bit of a waste of a sub. Yeah. And it was one of those things where we knew that Harry Kewell was prone to an injury. So again, I think it feels like we've misjudged things a little bit. Not Pep Guardiola-esque, but there is an element of this where it's like, has Rafa overthought this? Has he done something that's too cute or just too, well observed? And should we have started with a different 11? Because I don't think Kewell would have started in my ideal final 11.
No, agreed. It was almost a risk not worth taking. Yeah. But as good as Harry Kewell was for Liverpool at points, this wasn't like Gerrard. It wasn't like Lonzo. It wasn't like players that you can name now. He was just an okay player for Liverpool who had moments. So I didn't understand the risk knowing that he was never going to play the full 90 anyway. He was barely going to get to halftime. I think I remember him even being strapped up before the game. So
there was a long conversation about that before the game, I think, of like whether he was actually ready and like why we would take that risk. And it just kind of came true on the day, didn't it? And
especially when it means almost playing a formation you've never played. Like Harry Kewell has never played behind Milan Barros. It's just, I've never seen it. Even when you go back to his Leeds days, he's always been a left winger. Yeah. So all of a sudden, you're trying to make him into this Kevin De Bruyne S10. You're like, one second, he's not that. Yeah. So but Vladimir Šmičko, you kind of knew what you were getting when he came on. His career is literally 6 out of 10 every single game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, that's just what he does for Liverpool. So you know what you're bringing on. Yeah, you know what you're bringing on. So I wasn't too upset. Yeah. An internationally experienced player. He must have played nearly 100 times for the Czech Republic, so you knew what we were getting.
100%.
But he was looking that way.
Yeah.
39 minutes into the game, AC Milan get their second, and it's the first for Hernan Crespo. Again, I guess the question is, how damaging did that feel in the moment? 2-0 down to maybe the greatest team we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah.
Does it almost feel like game over at 2-0 down 39 minutes?
And by the way, that goal, the two goals that Hernan Crespo scores are both goals where it proves that they know something tactically about us. And they're so different, both those goals, and they come in like a 1-2 punch almost because they feel so close together. So the first one is like, oh, you knew that we'd be weak on that left-hand side. He finishes really well. He's fantastic. These guys are suddenly going, oh, this is easier than we thought. They were, when they were celebrating, it looked like they weren't celebrating a goal. They were celebrating, we've done this already. And by the time he scores the third, they're coming down the sidelines and there's a whole big pylon of players. And the Liverpool players are just in disbelief. There's all the classic Champions League shots of just people hands on hips or sort of like they didn't know what was going on. That was where I think, it felt inevitable to us because all the players just looked so despondent. Yeah. And we didn't think Rafa had anything to be able to change the game. You're looking at the bench like, well, is Didi Hamann going to come on and score a goal? Or like what, that was our real issue. We didn't have anything that felt game changing. Yeah. And they knew that. It was very clear to them. Gattuso, we can talk about one thing Gattuso did that wasn't tactical. He touched trophy on the way out. Ooh. And Carragher talks about this, doesn't he? He does saying that.
And it's obviously, people have touched and won the trophies, but when you touch and lose, obviously it gets magnified. But you're right about that left side. Obviously, the first goal was from Traore, foul, left side. The second goal, Kaká, down the left side. And you're thinking, they've clearly said, okay, Traore's the weak link here. And they just kept on going. And I have to be honest, 2-0 down, and then you look at, again, we've spoken about, you look at the defence, you look at the goalkeeper, and you're thinking, we ain't scoring 3 goals. No. By the way, no way we're scoring 3 goals.
The Kaká ball and the Crespo finish.
You're talking about the third one.
For the third?
Yeah, the third one on 44.
Sorry.
It's the goal of the night.
That's one of the greatest Champions League goals ever.
100%. Yeah. Because we won, it gets forgotten. Obviously. That Kaká turn on Gerrard. So it's who Kaká does it to.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it to Igor Bishkan. No disrespect. He does it to Gerrard. And the way in which that ball floats on the outside of Carragher's stretched out foot.
And Carragher is like, it's the lack of pace because he's like, weirdly, Carragher knows he won't catch Crespo, so he has to cut the ball out there.
He has to.
Whereas a faster defender maybe goes, well, I'll keep level with him. They've perfectly broken the line. Oh, he's played on the shoulder, like not Inzaghi-esque because he's way too deep to be Inzaghi, but he then finishes, he doesn't touch it. No. So he just touches it.
It's with the outside of his boot. The dink with the outside of his foot. I think the finish is so underrated.
I think I don't quite. No one was understanding what they were watching there. It's one of the greatest finishes.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. To do that in a Champions League final.
Dudek's just lost.
Yeah, we're all lost.
No, but like Dudek at this point, he's been humiliated by that third goal because it's Hernan Crespo going, I do not fear you. I'm going to do some sort. It felt like he reboned it into the goal. Yeah. It was that good of a finish. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, oh, they are a million times better than us.
That's when it hit me that, okay, we are levels behind this team. Yeah. That goal. Like the other two, okay, look, anything can happen from a free kick outside of the box. Anything could happen. And the other one was a nice little 1-2 and you're thinking, okay, cool, whatever. That goal was when I realised, okay, we're Liverpool and they're AC Milan. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That was it's almost like when we play Real Madrid sometimes now. And it's like, oh, Liverpool, Real Madrid. But that's when I thought,
don't remember that. I've only ever seen us beat them. Quite easily.
Beat us in the final. Yeah, sorry. But I remember thinking that there's levels. And I thought, that's when I remember looking at my friend thinking, I pray to God this isn't 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, I can imagine that's the feeling at that point.
Yeah, that's the feeling.
Turn the big TV off.
Yeah.
Let's make sure this isn't the most embarrassing Champions League final
100% thinking this could be any scoreline. Yeah. Like that's when any scoreline, anything.
I mean, you play great teams in the Premier League. You obviously had a great run to the Champions League final, but when you see someone like Kaká once a year maybe against your team.
We haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
There's nothing like, at the time, there would have been nothing like Kaká in the Premier League. Yeah. Nothing. And that centre-back lot, I mean, before Stam got shipped out from Man United to AC Milan, he was considered the best centre-back in the league.
Sure. Because he was.
Yeah. So
now it's an argument is even the best in his own partnership. Yeah. That's how good Nesta is.
Seedorf. Yeah. Like, he was considered one of the best midfielders
But Kaká in particular, I mean, the 2 goals are his own work, right? And then, like you said, even the pirouette on Gerrard as well, too. It's
how dare he do that to Gerrard?
That must be the feeling, right?
No one's ever done that to Gerrard.
Gerrard has never in the Premier League come up against someone like this.
Never had that.
Now, his battles are against Keane and Vieira's different type of battles.
He's going to war.
It's physical.
This is art, yeah.
They're like, no, we're going to just, that's it. Yeah. Gerrard's used to physical battles, and this is art. Yeah. This isn't a physical battle. We're not playing that game with you. Pirlo and Kaká are artists, and they just create better art than you. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, we're done.
By the way, each one of them was humiliating. It wasn't as if they went, their back line's slow, so we'll beat them every now and again. Let's just take some runs at them. Well thought out free kick, goal that clearly shows a weak on our left-hand side, beautiful moment, which we just do not feel like we have in our locker. And it felt like they knew exactly, not that they were just better than us, but that they also knew our weaknesses. So it wasn't as if we were battling on a level playing field and they were kind of, let's see what we get. They were surgically removing body parts.
That's a brilliant way of putting it. Yeah, it felt like surgery.
It was so surgical. And the ball from Kaká was this perfect scalpel cut. And we just, at that point, we had no idea that there was ever a recovery.
I wish there was a camera in the AC Milan changing room at halftime. Just to see the high fives and well done, we've tactically done everything we said we were going to do.
You don't need one.
Can you imagine the smiles and hey, boys, this is easy.
So watching them walk out at half-time, I remember the cameras being on the players going off at half-time, and you can see the smiles on the AC Milan players' faces. It was job done to them. And no one thought that there would be any comeback. No one thought there would be even like a reply. A goal to keep things respectable. That wasn't in anyone's mind. It was like, let's go out there and kill these guys. Even if there was a goal
to keep it respectable, they're probably thinking it's okay, we'll get another.
It'd be 6-1.
Because we've got Shevchenko at the time was the best striker in the world. And we've got Crespo, who would have been the best Premier League striker if Chelsea didn't let him go because of financial reasons. So they literally thought we'll get more. Nah. Incredible.
That was hard.
As demoralizing as that is, you still have however many Liverpool fans in the stadium still belting at the top of their lungs.
20,000?
20,000.
So it was a 40,000 stadium, maybe, and it was a 20,000 split, but I'd maybe say it was 25, something like that.
No, you know what we had? We had Steven Gerrard. That's what we had.
But you had spirit as well, too. I mean, when you have 20,000 fans singing at the top of their lungs, you'll never walk alone, down 3-0. I mean, what other fan base can even claim to be able to represent?
There are some of the players who say at halftime,
They heard it.
Yeah,
right?
you could hear it.
There
was basically like
it's like a 12th man.
But it wasn't like we're going to sing it because we think we can win. It was like we're going to sing it because we're not going to let everyone think that this hurts us.
Of course.
So it wasn't a like, come on guys, let's rally.
Yeah. Can you imagine if Twitter? If
Twitter,
can you imagine if Twitter
unbelievable.
Was
you can't. It would have been.
That's the greatest night in the app.
We are
history. That's the greatest night in the app
for you.
Yeah. No, at that moment, every single rival fan is
the comeback story on Twitter would have just been the biggest thing ever.
But you're talking about the end. I'm talking about
MySpace.
in the moment at halftime.
In the moment.
Oh my goodness. Man.
My MSN must have been blowing up that night. I don't know what was happening.
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace. My Bebo status must have been something awful.
There was one called High Five back then.
Right.
It would have been
awful.
Yeah.
Halftime, I think a few of the Liverpool players have come out in recent years and talked about what their reaction was in halftime. I think Jamie Carragher even spoke about them saying, Rafa, let us talk for a little bit, asking, did you even believe in a comeback at the time? And them straight up saying, no, we didn't. But the substitutions that Rafa makes in that halftime interval.
They are brilliant.
I mean, Hamanonic finning off.
That's the one, isn't it?
That's the one.
Then Liverpool go to a back three, and then you must say, chuck a German in the midfield. Chuck a destroyer in the midfield.
Because it does feel in that period, right? Because how good Milan are in this game in midfield. Forget about even the players that they have, but in terms of just how much dominance they are. The natural idea has to be put another guy in there.
Yeah, put another guy in there, put another body. And all of a sudden then, it sounds a bit different when you say Kaká, Pirlo, Gattuso, Seedorf versus Haman, Gerrard, Alonso. Yeah. It almost sounds a bit like, okay, now we're talking.
On a level.
Now we kind of got something going there. We can actually battle them. And it allows everyone else to kind of play football a little bit. Haman, I mean,
he's just a wall.
I feel like he goes. I feel like
that's the perfect way. Just a wall.
But I feel like when we talk about this game, right, and without trying to spoil too much for anyone who hasn't seen this game, which is crazy, but we talk about Gerrard, we talk about Dudek, we talk about Carragher, we talk about Shevchenko, but I do feel like Haman's role in this game goes massively under the radar by people who may not have seen the game or people who have a fuzzy memory of it.
There's players like that today.
Yeah.
That play that role, that almost destroyer role. That because they're not doing the step overs and scoring the top corner goals, you don't see what they do.
Yeah.
But managers and players appreciate them so much. And Haman was that guy for Liverpool. Haman actually changed his, like, you think of Haman sort of earlier in his career, he was actually a bit of a goal scoring midfielder. For Liverpool, he could score goals, but he was a destroyer for us. And he was 70% fit, Haman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was his entire career.
Yeah, he couldn't really run,
Yeah.
but he'd always get an important leg in, an important tackle.
Just a little bit of solidity in the midfield.
Do you know what's really big? Rafa was really big on players who didn't touch the ball but had an influence on the game. I know pressing is now a thing where you're essentially using your shadow to like stop a passing lane. Alonso's also that. And that's why I think Liverpool, everyone was always underestimated Alonso and what he did. Alonso shepherded the ball and Haman also kind of shepherded play. And it just stopped them coming through the middle. So it forced them to go out wide. And they had to go out wide and cut the ball back in. Now, if they had Inzaghi and he'd come on and he'd been able to maybe, ghost in or whatever, that changes things. But suddenly you're stopping Liverpool from needing to run with Shevchenko and Crespo. And you're saying, we're going to man mark you and you've got to move away from me. So if you get space, well done. Yeah. And that changed the game fundamentally because then it allows Steven Gerrard to stretch his legs a little bit and stretch the game. And that's not where Milan wanted to be. But I do think it's weird that Milan didn't really respond to these tactical changes.
Because they were 3-0 up.
Yeah.
But at all.
There was the arrogance.
But at some point, like, what change could the other team possibly make when we're this far ahead that could even make an impact?
Didi Haman.
Didi Haman.
Oh, they just put on Didi Haman.
Yeah, I'm sure they're thinking, okay, yeah.
One thing, as good as Pirlo, even to an extent, Seedorf and Gattuso are going forward, running back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Pirlo is in sort of treacle when he's running back. He can't run back.
Yeah,
he just can't.
That's not his side of the game.
It's not his nor Seedorf. It's not their side of the game. So all of a sudden, you're having to run back. And Gerrard back then, it takes a while to get into his stride. Once Gerrard gets his stride going, as we saw for the penalty, you can't stop him.
Let's talk about Gerrard a little bit, right? Because he is the face of this game when we look back on it, right? First and foremost, how important do you think his... we were in the dressing room at the time, but if you were a fly on the wall, can you imagine that Gerrard halftime speech?
I can more imagine Kaká going nuts, but then almost Gerrard being the calm. So I can imagine Kaká. I always felt like of the two, Carragher's the vocal one, and Gerrard's the one that does it on the pitch. Yeah. Whereas Carragher screams and shouts.
I almost feel like you're more afraid to disappoint Gerrard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Gerrard is sitting there, and everything that Carragher says, he agrees with. He's basically said to Carragher, "This is awful. These guys are terrible. This is at the time. Bear in mind." Our chance to win the Champions League. That's the way it felt. It was like, we're missing our chance to win this. The thought was, we're not going to get there again. We had this all-time run. Well, we've blown it. So I imagine that the words are we going to go out there and blow this? Are we going to keep this respectable? We're going to blow this now. Yeah. Are we going to be humiliated? You guys have got us into this situation because we've just been completely outclassed. Gerrard's one of the best midfielders in the world, if not, individually, the best midfielder in the world. Why are we letting this guy down? Why are you letting us down? We're the two Scousers in the team. Go out there and perform.
Yeah.
Could you make the argument as well, too, that Hammond's introduction to the game almost frees Gerrard up a little bit? Because Liverpool go into a three at the back system here.
He also drops back a little bit as well. Yeah. So he goes between the two centre-backs quite a lot. Yeah. And that allows them... Hupia doesn't have to track back in the same way with those players, and nor does Carragher. Mm-hmm. So Haman basically becomes like, now we drop a midfielder in. Yeah. He becomes that guy.
But Gerrard almost becomes a free role on the right, right? He's a right-sided player now.
He does everything. It's almost like Rafa said, Haman's there, you go and do what you go and do to get us this game.
I always felt was Gerrard's best game, to be honest. We always talk about central midfield, which obviously excels at, but when you kind of just gave Gerrard the liberty
of the Gerrard had, and it's a great problem, is that Gerrard literally, and Jude's to an extent got this issue now, is that Gerrard is a 6, an 8, and a 10. He could literally beat all those, and he was the best 6, the best 8, the best 10.
Yeah.
When Haman came on, it was almost like, okay, I can do the 6.
Yeah.
You just go and do the rest. Like you don't have to come back anymore. I can do it. So almost free Gerrard up and Alonso to go and, okay, boys, you go and do something because I'm not going to be a game winner, but I'm going to be a game saver. You guys go and win the game.
You go win the game for us. That's what they began to do at 54 minutes when Gerrard gets that all too vital header.
That's an early goal as well. Yeah. So 54 is like, it's pre-60, so you don't think of half an hour, you think of like 40 minutes left. Yeah. And it's a pretty decent cross as well from Reece.
Yeah, it is Reece. Yeah.
It kind of, who did it hit first? Because Reece tried to cross it, ricocheted, and then it comes back,
which is almost ridiculous.
Again. Yeah. And he actually crosses. Does he cross with his right foot? So he crosses with his left, 100%.
Right, and then he comes back.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an outswing. So he's trying to go the other way, and then Gerrard's like near the penalty spot, basically.
That's an incredible header.
And his neck,
dude, the amount of power he has to generate himself because it is an outswinger. Yeah. He's generating all the power, and again, he's doing this from 6'5" Dida.
Yeah, and
Dida's almost like, yeah. Dude, it's an incredible header.
It's an incredible header, for sure.
It's an incredible header.
He's so high up. I think, again, if Twitter was a thing back then, people would be taking that freeze frame and being like, that's
the moment, right? Yeah.
And then we all said this before. I know, obviously, it's not a global thing. It's a UK thing. The Clive Tilsley commentary of this he goes, hello. And it's that hello. And it's that paired up with Gerrard doing the arms. Yeah. He's like waving his arms in this weird circular motion, kind of at the Liverpool fans. Yeah.
Hello is the perfect piece of commentary.
So, hold on a minute. Whoa.
Yeah, because you let it breathe.
Yeah.
You let it breathe because he's not commentating. He's actually thinking as a football fan.
He's reacting.
Whoa, hello.
Yeah. You can hear a little, but you can hear in the background that the co-commentators or whoever are kind of making a little bit of noise.
Yeah.
And no one quite knows what to make of this.
Yeah.
But it's early enough that Liverpool have scored that he's on the UK broadcast, so he can basically go, you might have a comeback here, guys.
Yeah.
Well done, you tried.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be 3-1. But Gerrard clearly thinks different. Like at this point, he is going back and going, come on, we can do this.
I don't think, if you watch that back here, Gerrard scores, but I don't think he instantly thinks.
No.
Because he picks the ball, like someone gets the ball and then he thinks.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a moment of, 1 second, we could do it.
Yeah.
It's almost like he looks at the clock as well and thinks, hello himself.
It's really the
like,
perfect time to score goal down 3-0, right?
Perfect.
It's perfection.
Yeah.
And Milan really came out in the second half and didn't look like they'd done much thinking at halftime.
Yeah.
And they looked like they were ready to just cruise. Let's just keep it. Let's just be Italian. You know?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Let's just be Italian.
Yeah. Sit back, be Italian. And I think, Klopp and other managers have said since, it's like, if you want a goal against an Italian team, it's the worst team to score this against. And the back line, it's like, what? You're going to go and score 3 goals against that?
Yeah.
And then Liverpool and weirdly Vladimir Smicer decides he's just going to have like a weird pot shot that...
2 minutes later.
There's a moment in that Vladimir Smicer build-up, where you're not supposed... Nowadays, you're not even supposed to shoot from outside the box, so you'd be told off for doing that. But there's an arrogance from that Milan side, like Kaká is chilling, like near the halfway line, playing with his shin pads.
So much space.
Like literally playing with his shin pads. And it's like... There's an open space for Schmitz because they're thinking there's no way this kid's going to shoot from
why would he
30 yards.
And also Dida.
Yeah.
Again, it's not Gerrard, so we can stand off him a little bit. But it's this. It shouldn't go. I remember at the time watching, going, no.
Yeah.
Like, why are you shooting from there?
Is it still bad goalkeeping from Dida?
So I actually think Dida was slightly overrated as a goalkeeper. I think
agree.
that's the big issue.
I agree.
I think this partly led to his downfall because it looked as if it was him who was at fault for some of these things. But at the time, he wasn't. He's not the way we think about.
I
Alisson
felt Dida had an
Edison.
error in this game personally. Yeah.
And
someone so
that was
opposing.
it. And he just didn't reach it because also he had so long to see it.
Yeah,
it was very far out, and it is a perfect one. The weird thing I think that maybe stops him.
Barros is offside.
Barros is offside, but
Barros is offside, and he tries to jump out the way of it, which he does. But I'm thinking in today's game, nearly hits his hand.
VAR, we saw the recent incident.
100% in today's game, VAR looking at it and they're thinking, is he in the way of the view of the goalkeeper?
Debatably.
No, he isn't in the view of the goalkeeper, but I think the goalkeeper thinks the ball's going to hit him. So I don't think he like takes away from what the goalkeeper can see, but I think you'd think, oh, that's a fast one, hits it. What he does do, and if you look at it, he takes his hand out the way as the ball's going by. Now, the ball was like weirdly moving anyway. It feels when you watch it in slow motion as if he like impacts the air around the ball or something. And it's sort of like, it kind of drags it perfectly out of Dida's grasp.
Right into the corner.
And into that bit where you're just like, well, Smicer's not going to put it there. And it goes, you see the ball like nestle so beautifully. And Smicer runs away and you see him looking at the bench going, he's like roaring.
He himself,
and his hands are like that.
Have you not realised though? He's only celebrating by himself.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, well, we've still got a chance there. Like no one celebrates with him.
Yeah.
Carragher's like, they're literally running to the halfway line.
Let's go back.
Everyone's going back to the halfway line. I'm like, that's unfair.
And at that point, I think Milan, they're beginning to panic a little bit there. And the midfield begin for Milan to chase the ball.
Yeah.
Rather than staying in a formation. Yeah. So they begin to chase Gerrard, who is just everywhere. And they begin to you can see them shimmying around and not quite knowing where the ball's going to go. And Gerrard's just causing havoc.
That's the free roll that Gerrard had in that game from that second half needs to be studied.
Yeah.
I mean,
he literally goes everywhere on the pitch.
He's defending at right back. He's bumping forward at right wing. And then, of course, at 59 minutes.
That's Gerrard. And that's Gattuso trying to, again, not best going backwards. That's Gattuso trying to catch up with him. Gerrard's already gone. And is it a dive? Does he get tugged? I'm not quite sure. But that's Gerrard saying, I control the midfield now. But what surprised me about that moment is Alonso taking his first ever penalty.
I wanted to ask you guys about this, right? Obviously, Steven Gerrard is probably the first name you expect to step up, but 100%. I think he had missed a few in the run-up in that season. So for Xabi Alonso to be the one to step up to take the penalty to make it 3-3 when everyone probably thinks it's going to be Gerrard, at that moment, do you guys have a memory of what you were thinking when you see Alonso step up?
Great ball striker.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he hits the ball so well.
So pure.
So I'm not even thinking, why isn't Gerrard? In hindsight, obviously, it's like, why is Gerrard not taking it? But I'm thinking, Alonso's going to score because he hits the ball so well.
Again, it's kind of like this generation, people will be spoken about differently just because there'd be so much defense of Alonso or so much hyping of Alonso. He came in at Liverpool. He was called the Don at Sociedad. And he was young captain for them. He was one of the most influential young players. And Spain had a series of these players who just kind of turn up because not many people really watch La Liga. We watched it on Sky. Like
you only watched El Clasico. That was really it, isn't it?
Right. And maybe every now and again you get like, Soccer AM would do a little compilation of the best skills in that. But really you weren't watching that much La Liga back then. So that we were perceived to have just bought a decent midfielder. He wasn't even that expensive. It was like £10 million, something crazy cheap, wasn't he? So it was this perception of, well, he's a good ball striker, but I don't think we knew at that time what a Don he was.
Yeah. Well, and Rafa... we tried to get Gareth Barry.
Right. Yeah.
We tried to get rid of him out of the club and get Gareth
I think his
Barry.
last season, Alonso at 08-09 was exceptional, right? But I think there were times before that where there was...
Do you know how exceptional he's got to be to break into that Spanish midfield?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That Iniesta, Busquets, Xavi.
Yeah.
And he broke into that. Like, he played over 100 times for Spain.
And to be targeted by other people, like in that final where De Jong goes into his chest.
Yeah.
And like just his boot goes there. It's because similar to Mourinho used to do this with Alonso. He'd tell Lampard like hobble him, just go out there and just kill him. And Lampard did do that to him. He had him injured
his ankle.
Yeah. And managers knew how important Alonso was, but this was kind of pre that. He was still quite young. I think he was quite slow, and he was also very skinny. Like he had a very skinny torso.
The beard hadn't fully grown.
No. And by the way,
his hair was very fluffy.
That he is. I was going to swear there. He is pooing himself. As he steps up to take that penalty, his face. Obviously, he missed it, but you can see how nervous he was.
Yeah.
But that's why he's so good two-footed.
Yeah.
Because then to get the rebound on his left foot and slam it in to the roof of the net.
With I can't remember who the defender was, but there's a defender who gets very close to him.
Yes.
Like he's literally on the floor doing the kind of like looking to sweep the ball away.
I think it's Gattuso, by the way.
I think it is.
I think it's Gattuso.
But it's insane that he then gets it in the roof of the net.
Of course.
That is when Dida had the issue. Well, he had a few, but that was the one where it was like you saved it and then you were still laying down or whatever. That was where the game turned, I think. And you see him wheel away and they like drag him to the floor and he just ends up on his front under a pile of players.
Pure pandemonium.
That might be the greatest 6 minutes in football. Not Champions League. I know everyone like tries to kind of sort of pitch it with Champions League. In football.
It's ridiculous.
To do that to that AC Milan side who are coming out full of beans and confidence and to score 3 goals like that against that side is just insane.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's incredible.
I think when we think of comebacks, right, you think, okay, you're going to grab a goal here, survive a little bit, and then maybe try and grab a goal with 10 minutes left, and then maybe last minute. To do all of this in 5 minutes is scarcely believable, man.
Yeah, and by the way, you're still thinking they could beat us 7-3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still enough time for them to actually go down the other end
100%.
and score a couple of goals.
But at that point, though, surely... the mental effect that must have. We're talking about what was the
done.
If you could be a fly in the wall of the dressing room at halftime, I'd love to know.
What's going on with Ancelotti.
100%.
At that time, what's going on with Ancelotti? Because then he makes some bizarre changes.
Yeah.
He just everything like Crespo comes off. Jean Dahl Thomason.
We're talking about, by the way, one of the greatest in-game managers of modern history, man.
Mm-hmm. No, but he became that after that game.
100%.
I think that game taught him a lot, Ancelotti.
For sure, of course.
Hence why when we played them a couple of years later, it's different. I think that game told him so much about in-game management and how to control a lead. Because obviously you'll go on and manage Real Madrid where they're always in the lead and how to control games. I think that game taught him probably more than it taught Rafa.
I think also he was let down by his players. Because those players, I think a few of those guys thought this one's won.
Yeah.
And
how could they not?
Well, yeah, and I get that.
How could they not?
Yeah.
But, 3-1, cool, go out there and just put us back in our place.
Yeah.
They consistently did not put us back in our place. It became a slogging match where we were equal to them after that.
Yeah.
And tactically, Rafa, he'd not done anything mentally, but the tactics he changed.
The tweaks.
I mean, they're wholesale changes essentially, but they appear as tweaks in the game. They changed Liverpool's belief. And Gerrard is just given that free reign. And we are allowed then just free reign on AC Milan.
That's really what when chaos meets control.
You know what's interesting, and you are correct actually. The players let him down because you look at that Liverpool side, and there's not that much experience on that side, especially European football experience in the squad. I mean, Gerrard's 23, 24, Carragher's a year older. Hippier's maybe the oldest in terms of experience, and it's not for European games, just experience. That AC Milan side, in terms of European experience and knowing how to deal with it, again, Seedorf was playing for them. Nesta, Maldini. This is the experience.
Yeah, these are guys that have been at the stage millions of times.
Yeah, these are people that at the time would have played about 100 European games. Yeah. And they just didn't know how to control it.
They've never come up against this specific situation before. Yeah. I think when you're thinking you're that much better than that other team, and then that team goes and does that, you think, wait, like, is something special happening here? And imagine the energy in the stadium from these Liverpool fans is just, it's completely flipped from singing You'll Never Walk Alone at half-time and just being like, let's keep this respectable.
To the flares going off.
Oh my God.
It's happening.
We are the greatest Champions League team of all time. Yeah. The flip must have just been so much. And the AC Milan fans must have also felt very put upon by what was happening and demoralized because it's like, wait, could this be now humiliating for us? Because the way the Italian media speak about this Liverpool side is not as if it's like, oh, let's go and beat them. They should have been further ahead.
It genuinely, I said that Liverpool's successes have all happened at Anfield. It became Anfield.
Yeah.
Obviously, look, we had 90% of the stadium. It literally became Anfield, right? It's a 60,000-seater stadium, the Ataturk. And I mean, everyone, it's funny because every Liverpool fan says I was there. So that means there are a million Liverpool fans that were there, right? Everyone has a story.
In Istanbul, maybe.
Yeah, maybe in Istanbul. So it then became Anfield, and Liverpool playing at Anfield, you're not going to beat us in a Champions League night, especially not that kind of night.
Milan suddenly get a foothold in the game again. Obviously, I think they regained their focus in this. And there's a huge moment towards the end of the game where Jerzy Dudek all of a sudden comes to center stage. That double save on from maybe Shevchenko, the greatest striker on the planet at that current point, Andrei Shevchenko. How much of a turning point was that?
Do you know what it is? It's the save. I remember I was praying in front of the TV. I was actually sat like that praying, and I remember I saw that, and I couldn't believe what had just happened. Yeah. Weirdly, I remember the save. It was it's like a strange rebound. He saves the first one, then Shevchenko comes back, and it's the back of his hand that saves it, right?
Is it a better save or a bad miss?
It's a bad miss. Yeah. Because he doesn't know anything.
It's a bad miss. Yeah. Like when you think about it now, it's the worst miss.
From that distance.
And that's extra time, by the way.
Yeah.
That's extra time, isn't it? It's not in normal time.
No,
so the game's over.
Yeah.
Because there's only like a couple of minutes left. That game's over.
Before that, by the way, Carragher was struggling with bad cramp.
Yeah. Didn't he do a slide tackle on someone, though?
And he did a slide, and I think he stayed down after it, and he's just grabbing the inside of his leg, and someone comes over and like helps him with his cramp. But you can see the Liverpool players are out on their feet, and they just don't
begging
have
for it to get to penalties.
Anything.
There's nothing left. Yeah,
absolutely desperate for it to get to penalties. But not only that, it's the shot after Dudek saves it, where he saves it, and then he saves it again, fortunately. And then he looks away at something.
That's it.
And he's got his hand on his
head. We've won it.
He licks his lips and he's nodding.
Yeah.
And I don't know who he's nodding at, but he's nodding.
I think he's nodding to almost nobody, like a spirit. Right. I know it's going to sound a bit strange. There's no one in the crowd. It's too far. Yeah. I think he's nodding to himself like, we might do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not supposed to save that. Like, that wasn't anything he's been practicing on the goalkeeping coach's side of things. No. That's just, I don't know how that ball's hit me, but it's hit me and gone over.
Because they watch it. There's a long moment where they sort of watch the ball up in the air. And again, as a goalkeeper, he's not really ready for it to come down. He just kind of goes and watches it go down. Then he turns back and nods. It's kind of towards the bench. It might be towards Carragher. It feels in that direction, right? But you're right. He's just nodding. At that point, you can tell, and I think the AC Milan players will see this as well. Liverpool are like, something is happening.
Yeah. It's fate.
And it feels like it's out of, you could do whatever on the pitch.
It's out of your control.
And it's out. Liverpool are sort of like, we're not doing this. Something else is doing this. And the AC Milan players are just watching them.
Yeah, they've almost realised it hit them there. Like, this is nothing to do with us. Because
literally.
They battered us in the second half of extra time. I remember Jon Dahl Tomasson having a couple of opportunities, and I remember thinking, they're just not going to score here.
Yeah.
I remember Gerrard going to right back. That's when I realised Gerrard's just the complete midfielder. He went to right back because obviously we'd gone to a back three, obviously finning off, so he had to cover. And he put in a shift.
Yeah. Who was the left back for Milan at that point? It was the Brazilian.
Would have been Cafu.
No?
The other one.
It was
Serginho.
Serginho was bombing. He came on and he just didn't stop running.
Yeah.
So Gerrard had to go there.
And
that's when we lost complete control of the midfield because Gerrard's no longer in midfield. And it was almost a case of proper backs to the wall. And that's when Gerrard, and I don't want to single out just those two, but that's when Gerrard and Carragher just came to the fore.
Yeah.
Because this is now just about will. This isn't about skill. This is just like a boxer in the 12th round of a championship fight, and I've got to find something. And they just found something. It was incredible.
Yeah, Carragher in particular as well too. I mean that clearance right at the end,
dude.
Yeah,
I think that's the one where he pulled his groin.
When he's out on his
groin.
There is no way that he can run anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the point with Carragher is like a lot of people obviously kind of deride him. That moment I think feels very meaningful.
It encapsulates him.
Yeah, because
that's what he gives you.
Yeah, he'll put his body on the line.
It's a guy doing a marathon.
Yeah, and you can't. There is no numbers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like Carragher would look crap for stats. There's no numbers to quantify heart. And that's what Carragher's been about. I remember we used to get upset about him not getting an England squad. Because how do you describe what Carragher brings to the game? But he just brings so much heart, so much will and fight.
Game finishes in extra time, 3-3. Penalties. And from the way you guys are describing it, it almost feels like your name is on the trophy. But it's not that simple. You have to come up against the likes of Pirlo, Kaká, Dida, and beat them from 12 yards.
It felt like we kind of done. This felt like a brand new challenge.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing for us was we'd had the comeback, but we got to a draw to get to penalties. And at this point, there wasn't the modern belief that Liverpool have, which is, now we'll finish the job. We were guys who had got up to this level, and AC Milan were the finishers.
Yeah,
so it was kind of like...
I never looked at the Liverpool squad and thought we had penalty takers.
Yeah.
Or ball strikers.
But this is where it comes down to being a lottery.
This is where it comes down to just the mindset as well. Because I remember thinking, Pirlo's going to score. He's the best free kick taker we've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's going to top corner this. I remember thinking, Cisse might miss this. You just start thinking these players are going to miss.
You automatically think your players are the worst
I'm
at
thinking
taking
they're
penalties.
the worst penalty takers. And then when I'm seeing Gerrard and Alonso not step up, I'm thinking, okay, but there are penalty takers. Why are they not taking one yet? So I was, when they started missing AC Milan, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. But obviously, we need to talk about Dudek, and I don't know which order you want to do this.
Yeah.
But he began doing the Bruce Grobbelaar rubbery legs thing.
Would that be allowed today?
What? I'm not sure actually. I suppose you can't
Would he
tell
be
a
allowed
goalkeeper
to do that?
I think there's been
are you
recent
allowed
rules
to move like that?
I mean,
the way he
Martinez
did
has kind of changed the name of the game at this point, right?
Right.
I mean, they've changed rules to make it as fair as possible for the taker. But at this point, it's fair game, right? Whatever you can do to get in the mind of the opposition.
And I feel like that. I kind of like that more in a penalty shootout. I feel like a penalty shootout feels a bit too clinical sometimes.
I think a penalty shootout is really the one time in football where it really becomes a 1v1 fight.
Yeah.
Right? Like throughout the game, it's 11v11. Of course, you have your individual matchups, but it's really about team versus team. Penalty shootouts is really one man versus another.
Yeah.
So it's almost it's free reign to do whatever it takes to beat the other guy.
And Dudek definitely did that because I don't think his saves would be allowed now. He was about 3 or 4 feet off the line by the
that's
time.
even generous.
He was at the penalty area. He was literally on the penalty spot. For Shevchenko's one, he took about 4 steps out.
Yeah.
1, 2. Then they were like little pats.
Yeah.
But at the time, there
fair
wasn't
game.
really a rule, and he was allowed to do that essentially. And I think they changed the rule because that.
Yeah.
But he was doing the legs, and then he would come off the line, and he closed so many angles so well. No one really gives him enough credit for what he did.
Of course.
Because he's actually quite a small goalkeeper.
He's very small.
Yeah.
When you think of it. And back then as well, I mean, now obviously goalkeepers will have like bloody Pickford on his water bottles got, okay, Kaká's going to go left, Pirlo's going to go right.
Right.
Back then, you just make it up as you go along. There was none of that. Like literally, he's just coming up against these guys for the first time.
One-armed saves as well. Like kind of
saves.
weirdly amazing saves.
I mean, if we go in the order here, right?
Go for the order.
Didi Hamann scores for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All reliable.
Solid.
German.
Yeah. He's never going to miss.
Vorstorm technique.
Yeah, back then being German meant something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas now, so again, we've just profiled purely by nationality at this point.
Good penalty taker.
No, but
there
you
wasn't
just know
stats.
You just know he's going to
Rafa
score.
just went, you're German.
Yeah.
He
German
came up-
engineering.
yeah.
That's the buzzwords,
It's
right?
that, yeah. He walked up, stoic, give me the ball, I'm scoring.
No
And
problem.
I have no fear in Haman missing, none.
Interestingly enough, for Milan, Serginho takes the first penalty.
First one, and it's a bad penalty.
It's is that the one that goes sky rockets
Yes.
over? Yeah.
You think of all the players that Milan have at their disposal for Serginho to take the first one?
It did feel weird.
Odd.
They were nervous.
Yeah.
They were nervous. And I don't think because we don't really see it, do we, in the huddle when players look away to not want to take a penalty. Like managers, I wish a manager could sit down and say how many players have just, literally blatantly refused to take penalties.
Yeah.
And I wonder if a few of those Milan players are like, I ain't doing this.
I'm not feeling it.
I'm
I'm not up for it.
doing
Yeah.
this. But then again, Serginho scored for them 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
I think in a penalty. So he's probably thinking, I've done this before.
For
Fine.
sure. Yeah,
I
he's
can
been
do
in this moment,
He's done
right?
it before, yeah.
Cisse scores for Liverpool.
Yep.
Was that down the middle?
No,
it
sent
wasn't.
Dida the wrong way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sent him the wrong way,
Yeah.
and it was 2-0 by that point.
And then all of a sudden you see Andrea Pirlo step up for a penalty for Milan, and you're thinking, as you said earlier, this is the most surefire one. 2-1, we'll take another one.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't.
It was the weakest penalty. I couldn't believe
It almost felt like he didn't want to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt weird when you're watching it because I think our expectation was one of these will go in, it'll put some pressure on us.
Yeah.
And then is Risa
missed, didn't he?
Risa
Yeah,
missed.
Risa missed
saved.
the next. Yeah.
And Risa,
Saved, yeah.
tries to just, side foot, and I think just smash
Yeah,
it.
of all
That's
people,
what
You're
you
on a
Yeah,
Risa.
yeah,
Put
yeah.
your laces through it.
do what you do.
And he doesn't.
No, I'm like, what
yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Milan have a chance of getting back into it. Thomason scores.
Yeah,
It's a good
John
penalty.
Duncan.
For
Yeah.
It's very technically,
Yeah, of course.
it's fine. It works.
Vladimir Smitser,
Mm-hmm.
again, just puts his name in this game.
Man.
Grabs his own.
That was his last kick of a ball for Liverpool.
It was, yeah.
Last kick of a ball.
What
for
a way to
Liverpool.
go out, by the way.
Dude.
He wasn't.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like cult hero.
Yeah.
Like him, and I think the players like Dirk Kuyt. You know them players that,
Yeah.
you know, we never make a Liverpool 11, but just cult heroes.
I agree.
Yeah, Smith does that.
Kaká, fantastic penalty. Fantastic penalty.
Kaká's so good.
I feel for
He's
him
a
on the
star.
Forget how
Stats.
good Kaká
And I feel for him on the
Kaká's
night,
so
by the way.
good.
I feel like of all the Milan players, he's probably done everything he can at this
If they
point.
gave out MVPs,
Yeah.
he could be in that like MVP
So
on that
good.
night because he was just beautiful
Yeah.
to watch in
Yeah.
that
Oh,
game.
incredible.
He was
Yeah.
above
Perfect
everyone
footballer.
else. And really, the galling thing for him is Gerrard came on and took charge in the 10
Yeah.
and kind of outplayed that team at 10
Yeah.
and then went somewhere else. So all the attention goes on him. But Kaká really was like the guy.
Kaká didn't get injured throughout his career.
I'd be,
I mean,
we'd be speaking about
Yeah.
like Messi and Ronaldo.
I fully agree.
I mean, he was the last man to win the Ballon d'Or before those
Before
two
them.
just
Yeah.
went on a crazy run, right?
He'd be like maybe he'd be more like a KDB.
I think it's a great comparison in
Yeah,
terms.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
I think it's a
sure.
great comparison.
Yeah.
So Kaká had scored to basically equal or
To put pressure on
to
us.
put pressure on
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
of course.
We
So
had to.
Shevchenko steps up after Smitser, and the irony in all of this is 2 years earlier he scores the winner against Juventus. He scores the final penalty to seal it. But I think the way this game went, first and foremost, for Shevchenko to not even score in the game is a rarity in its
Shevchenko
own
had a
right.
bad game.
A bad game, horrible game,
bad
and then the miss at the end almost encapsulates his night.
But so this is when you're talking about one-on-one.
Yeah,
I think Dudek mentally
he'd already beat him.
he'd already beaten him at
Yeah.
that point because he saved that one and I think he's in disbelief standing in the box. He doesn't just run away.
Yeah.
Shevchenko, there's a shot of him kind of standing there looking like, how did that not go in
Yeah.
when it's come off Dudek's hand?
Yeah.
And Dudek is nodding, and I think that might be part of it now. He's nodding at a ghost, but he's also nodding just in the direction of Shevchenko, like, we're kind of, something's happening
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Does
And
Dudek-
Shevchenko in his head has that then, I think.
Just do that. Pick up the ball and put it on the penalty spot. for the penalty.
Dudek was handing.
He does
he was doing
something.
something to like
He
mess
does-
with their heads.
he does
in a way.
something,
when
yeah.
they're walking forward.
Yes, he goes to them.
Yeah.
And as a look, and then walks back. Like he does something. He
Dudek
says
something
walks
like-
for Emi Martinez to run. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
this
yeah.
is the blueprint
Yeah,
for
yeah.
how to unsettle an attacker.
100%.
There is there's some story, and I don't know if it's true, but it's just worth putting out there if you've heard it, that he says, same way as usual. To Shevchenko.
No, he does not.
He says something to him, I think. He says something to one of these players, and it's too hazy in my head now. He says something like same way as usual.
Wow.
And I just wonder if, obviously Dudek's mind gaming all these guys.
Yeah.
But imagine saying that to a player. He says something to him.
Imagine he learnt just a bit of Ukraine, just for that,
Just a little
for
bit.
those words.
Yeah.
He said it in Ukraine. He
Yeah.
said Shevchenko. It's the worst penalty we've seen
Awful.
in years.
Yeah.
Considering who Shevchenko is, the kids nowadays might not realize who Shevchenko
I mean, he
is.
won the Ballon d'Or that year.
Again,
2005.
Ballon d'Or
Yeah.
winner, like just sensational footballer. Like him and was it Rebrov up front for Ukraine? I mean, that partnership between them. Shevchenko was gold standard.
For center forward.
But you see him walking up, and you know this boy's missing.
on even the run up, you look at his
You
face.
just
Yeah,
know
he does
he's
not want to
missing.
be there.
He just looks like he's not breathing properly as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he looks like
that's
he's not breathing.
Yeah.
He's hyperventilating in the moment. He's
In
taking
front
the
of us.
penalty, and you can see his eyes, everything. They just look gone.
Like, it's not like Dudek has to make a bottom corner save. He literally just stands still.
Yeah.
That's how bad that penalty is. And we win the Champions League.
The rest is history.
Oh, it was
And the rest is
the
history.
commentary
Number
was
5.
also absolutely insane.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that.
Even the way Carragher's running away, and he can't run. He's like hop, skipping, and jumping. He doesn't know what to do, does he? He just doesn't know what to do.
We just weren't expecting it, and I just remember looking up at the sky and just being like, I cannot believe that just happened. I was in total disbelief.
You know what it is? It's not just winning the trophies. Obviously, look, Liverpool won so many trophies. It's winning it against someone. And to do it again against this AC Milan side, and we've just reeled off the players that they've got, plus the manager, plus the history. Like, this is a team that have won the Champions League 7 times. Obviously, up until then, they hadn't. But
6.
Yeah, 6 times. So they've got stock in this. They know what to do. There's a team that used to dominate Scudetto, Serie A. They know how to win things. So to do it against that team, and remember, it's a Liverpool team that we don't know how to win things. There's a Liverpool team that, we're happy finishing 5th and 6th and 7th, and we're pretending we're part of the big 4. We're kind of not, because we're never really anywhere but 4th.
Yeah.
So for us to do that to them,
dude. In England as well, the vibe in England at the time was it was not our moment. It was Chelsea's moment. It would, could Arsenal extend what they'd done under Wenger? Manchester United would always be there. It was not Liverpool's time. And so the perception was, Liverpool won't win this. Oh, finally, you'll be brought back to earth. And it's sort of like, well done. You had your little run in the Champions League, but really, you're going to get outclassed here. And so to do that, and then I think the images afterwards of like Gerrard, it's probably one of the most iconic lifts ever, because he doesn't, some players do that.
Yeah.
He takes it
there in front of their face. It's above his head. And I do remember.
It's a heavy trophy, by the way. Huh?
It's a very
heavy trophy.
That's
a heavy trophy.
But if you look back, it is a bit of a moment where it is kind of like, here we are.
Yeah, relief.
And then obviously then he wants to leave anyway, so who cares? But, it is a moment where Rafa has proven himself, I think, to these players of like, if you do what I'm asking of you tactically and you go out there and execute, we're capable of undermining other people. And we had a lot of that under Rafa in the Champions League. We went on to be the team you did not want to draw in the Champions League.
Yeah, that game goes on to mark your European pedigree throughout the next few years, where you become the team that no one wants to go to Anfield on a Wednesday night. Yeah. No one wants to face you guys in a 2-legged tie.
Because you kind of know. And also, there is something iconic about Gerrard lifting it as someone that's been at the club since he was 5. So he is born and bred Liverpool. Not that it means something. It does to the Liverpool fans. They always talk about the Scouser in the team, right? And he is that. He exemplifies that. He was a 23-year-old captain.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about, when you're like, players will come through, give them time. Gerrard was a 23-year-old captain battling the big boys of Milan.
Yeah. And
he went toe-to-toe with some of the monsters of football. A little kid from Liverpool. Honestly, it's incredible.
Let's break this game up into categories. Okay. So to start, what felt like the most important moment over this entire game?
There's a few nominees,
of course.
And the Oscar goes too.
I think Gerrard's header is the kind of, you're actually doing something, the turning point, like the kind of the indicator that the game shifted. And then I think the Haman sub is the thing that most people look back at and go, right, that shifted the entire team. Because it shifted Gerrard. That's that for me.
The Dudek double save, though, surely has to be up
But
there,
the game was already, we already happening.
Got back in,
So we had the momentum of that by then, and the football gods, whatever you want to call them, are kind of gone, okay.
I just think, though, because you did all of that work in that moment, it could have all been for nothing.
Yeah, it could have been taken away. If he was slightly more clinical, but he wasn't.
I'm going to go the Vladimir Šmička goal.
Really?
Yeah, because the Gerrard goal, if I'm brutally honest, I thought 3-1's good. I'll take 3-1 right now against this team. We're not going to get embarrassed.
You don't really believe that.
I'm still not going to score 2 against this lot. Or 2 more. When the Šmička goal went in, I was thinking, 1 second. Yeah. That was my hello moment.
Yeah.
So that was my real hello.
Later.
Like, 1 second, we could do. And because it came so quick after the Gerrard goal,
right?
And everyone knows momentum in sports, just in life, right? But in football, it's crazy. So it was that goal where I literally stood up in my chair thinking, dude, this could happen. So I'm going to go the Šmička goal for me.
Yeah.
Was there any moment you guys may have forgotten that we brought up?
You've asked someone if they've forgotten something.
I was going to say, you guys have recited this game by memory more impressively than I think I've seen anything before. But was there maybe one moment that just it sparked something in you?
I think there's probably a lot of moments where we are, it's much easier when you watch the highlights. No one's going to put in the second half of that game highlights of AC Milan getting close.
Yeah. But
I do remember that it wasn't like it was a one-way traffic from Liverpool in the second half. We didn't shift the game, and it was, a game of 2 halves where we're really good. They were much more even, I think, than they'll probably get credit for because, it's definitive in the final, isn't it? Ultimately, they were still on top for a lot of that game. And those 6 minutes, like you said, shifted it.
Yeah.
But there were still moments afterwards where they were just getting closer and closer. And that's what was pushing us back. But like you said, the definitive Dudek save was one thing. But I do remember them they were just plugging away. And you know that meme where it's like the guy is walking back down the tunnel and he's chopped his way down just for the diamonds. they felt like they were there, where they were like one more hit, and that's why the Dudek thing felt so definitive, because it felt like if they'd have gotten that would have killed us. There was no way we were going to go elsewhere because our legs were also gone by then. There was no legs in the front line to come and be able to do this. Djibril Cissé was really on as like a body at that point because he wasn't really like the definitive striker that we thought he would be. And he was, he was coming back from a leg break. It was, he wasn't the deadly striker that we needed him to be.
I feel like the next one, you guys have kind of gone over it. The biggest managerial decision has to be bringing on Didi Hamann, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Steve Finnan wasn't a bad player, but it just shifted the entire shape. And I think
you know what though, the Schmeichel for Kuhl's interesting because he had to move a couple of things around as well. It wasn't like Schmeichel went in the role that Kuhl had vacated.
No, he played deeper.
He played deeper, and Gerrard went a bit further. So the Schmeichel one's interesting because he could have gone, okay, Cissé, let's go up front. But I think he knew that Cissé didn't have enough legs in him for 70 minutes or so, because obviously that sub happened in the 23rd minute. So I think that Schmeichel substitution and what it meant for Gerrard, and then bringing another body in the midfield, was interesting. Obviously, they scored 2 more goals, so it probably didn't seem interesting at the time. But looking back, that wasn't the worst substitution.
Who gains the most from this game from a legacy point of view?
Legacy?
A legacy.
Player?
Or manager, up to you.
No, it was Gerrard.
Gerrard.
Yeah.
That's when he became one of the best midfielders in the world. And because the bubble of the Premier League at the time, I mean, we look at the Premier League now as this Goliath, but La Liga was still La Liga and Serie A was still Serie A. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's when Gerrard said, okay, no, I'm not just Premier League. I am worldwide Gerrard.
Yeah.
So I think Gerrard was just, again, 23-year-old. Like doing that. It's not normal, you know? 23-year-old captain. Yeah,
validation. But it was also validation that, if we give the tools to Rafa, then maybe there is something in this. And, he only really introduced a couple of people, but they made very fundamental differences, and they'd all been key on the way to this final. So it was about validation. The final is a big moment, but the run and outthinking Juve and lots of different managers, that was important. And I think also it's validation from a Liverpool perspective of, we can't keep going with these guys because look where these guys are and look where we are, and we can't do that in every game.
Right.
But look at how tactically astute we are. And that, I think that's a big validation for us.
Man of the match, is it as simple as Gerrard? Or can Kaká maybe get a slight mention as well too?
Yeah, weirdly, I'd actually say you probably still put an AC Milan player as man of the match, but it is Gerrard.
It is Gerrard, but Kaká, just sublime.
How much better can you play on a losing effort?
Right.
Yeah, I hadn't seen anything like Kaká up until that point. I actually remember watching, this is a bit of a segue, but I remember watching Brazil versus Argentina at the Emirates. Mm-hmm. Remember Kaká scoring and he runs away from Messi. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Wow.
Like Messi can't catch up with him. Yeah. So Kaká was
when his legs got moving.
When he couldn't catch him. It is Gerrard. But what Crespo done in that game?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that goal.
That Crespo finish.
Crespo scored 2 goals.
It's a bit like if you looked at the recent World Cup final, right? Where over the entirety course of the game, Messi is the man of the match. But what Mbappe did in such a short amount of time makes him the figure of the game. It's almost a bit similar to Gerrard and Kaká in that regard.
Yeah, and I also think, weirdly, it was us saying we don't have that quality that those guys have, but it did build a bed for Kaká to go on and do other amazing things. He's probably got one of the best Champions League goal compilations ever.
Yeah, 100%.
That goal against Manchester United.
The header down.
We'll talk about the
We should talk more about the Manchester United goal. No.
Do you want to do that?
It's a great goal.
We don't have to do that. Unsung hero from the match.
That's a tricky one.
That is a great question. You know what? Defensively, in the second half, Hippier.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were going to say Carragher.
No, because we know he's given the hero, unsung.
Yeah.
Hippier, and just the way in which he's marshalling the back. Because remember, Hippier, no legs. Like, as much as I love him, I'm probably faster than Hippier at the time.
I think he's mentioned Hippier's speed like 40 times.
It really sticks with you.
Literally, he's the slowest centre-back But Hippier, the way in which he just marshalled a very inexperienced side. Hippier at the time would have been, I'm going to say 31. So he's a lot older. He had lost the captaincy from Steven Gerrard, and he was a very good captain. He handled that so well. How well did he handle the captaincy being taken away from him and given to a 22-year-old?
Yeah. I mean, if Gerrard had not been Scouse, it probably would have hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
But you could see Hippier had the bigger picture in mind. He's not going to go to another European side at this point and do something amazing. He was there to kind of be, someone to maintain Liverpool at that point.
Stability.
And what we did do was we played towards his strengths. We did drop that back line deeper, and it meant that he could marshal them. A lot of people, we'll talk about Hyypiä Carragher. Jimmy Traore is still there. And he's got to like get Jimmy, kind of coach Traore through the rest of the game and or Riso through the rest of the game, depending on who was back at that point. That's hard.
Yeah.
Like they've still got some amazing
Hyypiä
players coming from out wide.
Hyypiä for me, is a Premier League Liverpool all-time 11. Yeah, it'd be
Wow.
it'd be him and Van Dijk.
In terms of contribution.
Yes.
Incredible.
Sure. I think he's just,
yeah.
Even that goal against Juventus, the header, to get us there. Remember that goal against Juventus, the header?
goal.
Existentially, he's in an all-time 11.
Yeah.
Literally, probably not. But he's existentially in an all-time 11.
Let's talk about the effect that this had on both clubs going forward. Let's start with Liverpool.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about how this almost molded what would go on to be the prestige they had in Europe in the next few seasons.
Gave us some belief. I think it definitely gave the fans belief. The fans, because Rafa had this kind of magical, iconic moment, they began to go, oh, this is our identity now. Here's what we're going to take moving forward. Yeah. And you can still kind of see some of the ghosts of that now where, you know, we've had Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, those weird nights, other big...
Barcelona.
Yeah, the Barcelona comeback.
One, yeah.
Does that, I mean, I'm not saying does that happen without this?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
But you get what I mean.
It doesn't. I think teams now will believe, unless you're going to Anfield with a 4-0 lead, anything can happen.
Yeah. And even then 4-0, they'll go, well, now this is
there's
the
a
new
chance.
3-0.
If they get one early,
2005, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think what it did, I mean, obviously Liverpool had that season in 2001 where we won the treble, but everyone called it the Mickey Mouse treble, right?
Yeah. Because it was.
It was. Let's be honest. We won a serious trophy now. So now we're back. It almost opened the door like, this is the sleeping giant that's now back.
Of course.
This is now a big trophy. So you went back the following season, 05-06, and you're thinking, we can do anything.
Yeah.
Like you genuinely had the belief that we could do anything. And I think the board finally felt like, okay, we need to invest now. Like we need to get rid of players like Vladimir Šmička, Igor Biscan, Jimmy Traore, and we need to actually give Rafa some money because we know Rafa can actually do something. Look what he did with Alonso.
We didn't give him that much.
So all of a sudden, we didn't get much. We got pennies, basically. We got Torres, the next Torres, didn't we? But I think it was almost like an open door moment, like Liverpool have now arrived. We're at the big table. It's our 5th European trophy,
This
and
is
we're now in the
Liverpool
big
back
clubs.
in the big time.
It's also, by the way, one thing we haven't mentioned, and it actually feels really key now. Michael Owen left. And he was one of our greatest goal scorers ever. He's an incredible goal scorer and still England's top guy at that point. So the perception was that people, again, you know, similar to the ghosts of now, how are Liverpool going to win anything without their great young, he wasn't a Scouser, but guy who came up through that? I don't really know how it played out. I don't know. There were these rumors as to whether Rafa Benitez had not visited him, but he had visited Gerrard, and that was him kind of saying, you know, we won't need you, but we will need Gerrard. But anyway, he left. He went to Real Madrid to do his thing, and he went. And part of it was like, I'm going to Real Madrid to go win things. Cup, And so this was very much a like, actually, you would win things here kind of moment. We haven't mentioned Michael Owen at all, maybe because Gerrard became the focus. But there was, again, this narrative in the English press of like the decline of Liverpool and that Rafa was coming in. And it was a bit of an unknown, which is why I think Gerrard at that point, the energies and the winds were moving away from Liverpool still.
Yeah, let's not forget, Gerrard wanted out. At the back of that Champions League, Gerrard wanted out. He was going to go to Chelsea.
I was going to ask you, do you think that win kept him at the club?
No, because he still wanted to go.
He still wanted to go.
So if you lose that final,
he's gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Sure.
And Liverpool fans wouldn't obviously still be angry that he's gone, especially to our rivals, but you wouldn't have been as mad. It kind of goes back to the Trent thing. Liverpool fans are mad at Trent because we won the league and he's gone. So it would have been quite similar. But you can understand why he was going to go. Again, you look at the players that he was playing around, he's probably thinking, I can't play with this.
Yeah,
well, that's the text to Rick Parry. The text to Rick Parry is, I'm staying, but
you need to do something.
I need reinforcements. I need people. And Rick Parry says something like, we're all working on that or whatever. And Rafa had also left, bear in mind, Valencia, where he said, I asked them for a sofa and they gave me a lamp. So he was coming to a club where the assumption was that they'd said, we will back you or we'll give you what you need. And to an extent, they did do that. It wasn't maybe immediate. The summer after it was like Pepe Reina and those kind of guys coming in. Yeah. And then Torres came the season after that, did he not? So there was still a wait for Gerrard.
2 seasons after that.
Yeah, exactly.
2 seasons after the Champions League final. Yeah.
So that's still quite a wait for Gerrard then, of kind of going, we'll give you these pieces, we'll give you these pieces. And bear in mind, Liverpool have got pennies on the dollar for Michael Owen because we bought in Antonio Nunes, who didn't play. Like, he just wasn't a factor for Liverpool. He just wasn't a thing. It took time for Rafa to do this. So the patience, that was always hanging over Liverpool for quite a while after that, of like, will Gerrard stay? Even though we'd managed to keep hold of him that summer, I still think there were other approaches after that of like, hey, I'm just checking. Like, you know, you still down to stay?
Yeah.
And that was a big thing for us.
I think winning the FA Cup final, the season
well, that
after
did help. The West Ham,
the Gerrard final. Yeah. I think that was it then. All doors were closed. Gerrard was going to stay. But yeah, I mean, I think it just...
That might be the biggest effect then from this final, that Gerrard would go on to stay and be the guy that kept Liverpool afloat in this period. If 100%. We go to Milan real quick, they would obviously return to the same stage 2 years later against you guys as well too.
We played better in that final than them, I thought.
100%. Yeah.
Because we could have really
I think, funnily enough, if you look at what people were saying around the time, Liverpool actually maybe went into that game as favorites when you looked at Milan at that point, because it is largely the same side. Inzaghi has come into the team, Stam has left, but in Serie A they had struggled. It was an aging team. Maldini at this point is 40, 41 years old. But do you think they win that final if they hadn't lost 2 years earlier?
I don't think we would make the final if we did. Oh, do you mean the other way for
I'm talking Milan. Would Milan win in 07?
Yeah, I think Milan. Yeah, I think Milan just gone and win both of them.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think Milan...
Because I think Milan, similar, look at that final a little bit as revenge for themselves. Like, they were spurred on more so by the fact that it was Liverpool.
I just think maybe Liverpool go out there and we have this feeling of, well, now we've got to go out there and get revenge for a humiliating defeat. I just think it's hard to see those two things converging. I think actually we would have had a bit of a complex if we'd have lost that final.
Yeah.
And I think if we lose that final, maybe Gerrard leaves and it just becomes a bit of a compounding thing.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it was just an experienced Milan side. Again, we talk about Carlo Ancelotti and give him so much praise. As a manager, that's still just a great manager. Milan, just a great Champions League side, a great European side. I don't think losing had that much of an effect on them as we like to think it did. I think it affected sort of Milan fans for a while, but Milan's still a massive club. Obviously, it's a completely different club now, but Milan's still a massive club, and they still had fantastic players. And anyone that has Inzaghi up front's got a chance. I mean, that is the poacher of all. I mean, his goals were like from 3 yards and 2 yards.
I mean, one of them is literally a Pirlo set piece that they had trained thousands of times to deflect off Inzaghi's chest.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's insane that they can do that many times, and no one knows how to.
No one knew how to. They had done it so many times in Serie A.
Yeah.
What's the most 2005 thing about the 2005 Champions League final?
The kits are now iconic.
Yeah.
I think the Milan kit back then
was... The baggy kit. That was Milan's European kit as well, like European finals kit.
They had
that
like
white
shiny
kit.
shorts.
Yeah.
Incredible kit. What was the sponsor? Was it Opel?
No,
was it?
On the football.
It was
Opel. And that was a beautiful kit overall.
Yeah.
The hair, Steven Gerrard still looks like quite a young Scouser.
Yeah.
Milan Baros had that was a very thing at the time.
It has to be though.
Band.
Laurence, we're going around in circles. It has to be ITV.
ITV.
It has to be ITV Champions League.
Football was free back then.
Exactly. Nowadays, you have to 700 channels. But back then, ITV Champions League was just a thing.
It was the sport for because bear in mind, Premier League games was on Sky back then, so you couldn't really watch anything live unless you had it, and it was pretty much like your rich friends had Sky.
It was the free sport for everyone.
Yeah. You had to go to the pub really if you wanted to, or you had to go to a place where there was a TV on. It was also then that ITV's coverage was just so synonymous with the way the Champions League looked and the staging and everything.
Fantastic.
And they, I think I saw there are 3 separate compilations of that game. One from Sky, who did have it.
Yeah.
One from ITV, who did have it. And one from BBC, who just made it randomly on their audio platforms, which was 5 Live at the time. All 3 of them are all-time. You can go back and watch them on YouTube. They are all-time compilations of these beautiful little vignettes where they, now we're so used to media and these little packages that people make. Back then, I can imagine there was a whole team of people that just put so much love and time into it. And what was weird was, I would imagine at halftime they were cutting a very different package to the one that they're cutting at full time.
Crazy.
So they will have started this compilation with the narrative of, well, we'll cut it to Pavarotti or whatever. Come full time, it's Beatles music. It's these other, there's the one that Sky did. They had Sean Connery reading a Beatles song.
Wow.
And I just remember thinking how those still stand out to me now as an adult. I can remember these beautiful moments where. And this is one thing I wanted to kind of point out. It kind of bonded Liverpool and Milan together because now whenever you go there's a real respect between the two teams. Yeah. I think
they feel like they're bound for life. It does feel like that.
I went to the last time we played them away in the Champions League two seasons ago, and we were by far the better team. And it felt a little bit. There was an element of respect. They got an early goal, but it was still you could tell the two sets of fans just really had respect for each other, and it was like we both saw this. We've all seen this.
We've both been through it.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was. We've both been through the highs and the emotions of football, unlike anything else, right? I mean, the way in which even your heart rate can go up and down for a game. They've been through it. We've been through it, and I think that bond will be inseparable.
And it's also I really love stats. I love that we can quantify the game, but it's a very nostalgic era now because it was just pre the intensity of stats and quantifying. It
did feel like a pure game.
It's before we're quantifying everything.
Might have been one of the last years of that, actually, before stats became so prevalent in the game. Like, it was just watch it. Do you know what I mean? It was just a case of just watch and enjoy the emotions of football. And that's why we love football, right? Football is all about emotion. And now, obviously, with VAR and stats and Twitter, you kind of lost a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
Whereas then it was just watch it and enjoy it.
It almost feels like now everything is more important than the actual 90 minutes, whereas then the 90 minutes was
the
everything.
build-up of games is now, the build-up and the post-game analysis is now more important than the actual game itself.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was the game itself. It was a small build-up, a small post-game, and now it's the complete difference. But yeah, it was fantastic.
So that's big for us.
Just a few questions before we wrap this up. Is this Liverpool's greatest victory in the club's history?
Is it that or Barcelona? Barcelona,
yeah. But because there's no trophy for the Barcelona, obviously the trophy came against Spurs. But that Barcelona victory at Anfield.
Ridiculous.
Dude, you crazy.
But you know what's
3-0 to that Barca side.
And they tweeted a photo of Luis Suarez and said, even if they score 4, all we need to do is score 1 goal. That still sticks with me.
And also, it's the amount of players that are not playing that game against Barcelona.
Salah, Firmino.
Remember, Salah, Firmino are not playing.
You know what?
So you're thinking, how are we going to score without Salah and Firmino?
Or Gini Wijnaldum.
Yeah.
But
Divock Origi is your answer.
The only reason I would put in
is AC Milan.
AC Milan is because that sets up the Barcelona one, where there is an element of come back to Anfield then, see what happens.
Right.
And the run to there where Olympiacos, obviously now we can't talk about who was commentating that game because those people have been exiled to another country. But if you remember the commentary of that Olympiacos game, Gerrard!
And remember, he's Everton, really, isn't he? And for him to do that,
and Gerrard just wheeling away, pumping his fists into the it is. You cannot fathom that
Carragher
now.
that sends that ball in.
Yeah.
And they head down from Mella. It's just
and it just felt like a Gerrard goal at that time, like long range screamer. Like that's just
Gerrard, isn't it? So I think it will be. You're right. It is AC Milan because it's the whole Champions League run.
And let's call it what it is. You're talking about what you did in a game compared to what you did in 5 minutes.
Right.
And that AC Milan side is better, I think, than that.
By far.
Barcelona.
Yeah,
that was the other thing is that Barcelona team had that done to them before. So they by
Roma the year before.
And then
before.
Yeah, and then
didn't Bayern Munich batter
They beat them 8-2 the next season.
Yeah, Bayern Munich batter. So they've had history.
This AC Milan
side,
there was Messi.
Solid.
Messi was at his pomp at that point, right?
Yeah.
He did feel like something entirely different. But in terms of a side 1 through 11.
I don't know actually. Now I think about the Robbo pushing Messi's head.
Yeah.
What the little
but
that was good.
It's AC Milan.
But it's also apparently afterwards, every Scouser was out in town, and there were Liverpool fans trying to get into the Liverpool hotel, and everyone was saying to the security, "I'm Jamie Carragher's cousin. Can I come in?" And the security were apparently like, "Well, if you're Jamie Carragher's cousin,
why
then
not?
get in."
Yeah, who am I to say no?
Yeah.
I guess another question: is this the greatest Champions League comeback of all time? I think it's a little more difficult, right?
No,
because you have
without doubt. And
interesting.
You're saying this because you're a United fan.
I was going to say PSG, Barca. That's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
But it's not,
but it's not the final.
Yeah.
And they didn't win it.
It is not the final. It's not. You're not 3-0 down at half time.
There's not the disparity in teams.
Yeah, that's the thing. PSG and Barca, it's close. The 11s. I mean, again, we were speaking earlier. Maybe only Gerrard just gets into that Milan side. And even then, they will probably say, no, it's okay. We're happy with what we've got. So the disparity in teams means this has to be the greatest comeback. It just has to be.
And also, obviously, Manchester United against Bayern Munich was massive. And I think that felt very culturally important because of the treble and things like that.
Right.
But again, that Manchester United team were an exceptional side.
Yeah.
And it's
phenomenal.
Iconic.
Phenomenal side.
What they did.
And an iconic manager.
Yeah.
And an iconic win,
iconic
2 goals in the final 2
At the time, Rafa, there's question marks over Rafa. There's Ancelotti. There's a team with so much history. Has to be that.
I think I would probably put that United one to the side. I think PSG Barca is the one I would raise because 4-0 in the first half. I think they were up 3-0 and there was a thought they could do it, and then PSG grab a goal and all of a sudden they need 3 more in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the manner in which Neymar at the end, that one felt ridiculous, but I think the fact that Liverpool actually got the job done.
Dude,
Barca went on and lost to Juve.
Do you know
Yeah.
how many people must have? I'd love to know the stats of people that turned off their TV at 3-0 and just went to the pub.
My dad went for a walk.
Like, literally just thought, you know what, that's all right.
My dad literally
Let's
went
just
for a
move on.
walk.
I'd love to know how many people were like your dad and just said,
Yeah, like,
okay.
enough.
He didn't. The weird thing was he didn't give up. He wasn't saying I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
He was saying I shouldn't be near a television right now
yeah.
because I feel like I'm bad luck for this, responsible.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I think that's the other aspect is, obviously he was very, very far away. The energy that those Liverpool fans will have brought to that stadium, and I think that element of belief, for a very long time, you could make the argument since the late 80s into the early 90s, we'd lost the belief of the kind of the magic around the club. We'd lost the 96 FA Cup final to Manchester United after Eric Cantona had scored that iconic goal.
Right.
We'd had a bunch of players who were really good, but a couple went away, a couple faded, one went to Real Madrid. We just had this run of kind of mediocrity, frankly, and what felt like was us grasping Roy Evans, the boot room, these kind of things. Gerard Houllier felt like he was there to upgrade the team, and then it all became too stressful for him. No disrespect to him. He did really important things to the structure of Liverpool, but it all became too much for that era. Rafa was coming in off the back of winning things with Valencia, but he wasn't winning from a position of power. He was winning from a position of underdog, and he just put together what was an iconic team. It felt still like, there was still a lot still to be done. And that will have given us a lot of belief. And clearly it still had 20 years later. I go to Anfield now thinking something special is going to happen.
You think there's a chance regardless of who comes, whatever.
And that's great. That is crazy. That is crazy.
I mean, even in a moment like this where Liverpool aren't in their best form, Real Madrid come to town and it still feels like
a chance.
100%. Niche question here. Would you guys rather have Jersey Dudek in a penalty shootout or Alisson?
Jersey Dudek. Alisson for penalty shootouts.
For as incredible as he is and well-rounded, it does feel like penalties might be...
Like you take even Kelleher over
Could
Alisson.
I take Kelleher?
Yeah, you take Kelleher.
Alisson's had some good penalty saves, but Kelleher is absolutely...
Kelleher is sensational.
Mamardashvili's had some iconic Liverpool penalty saves.
Go. It's a Liverpool thing.
Yeah.
It's also, I do think, at Anfield, I would back any goalkeeper because I've seen Kelleher keep Mbappe out.
Yeah.
I've seen Mamardashvili.
Keep out Haaland.
Yeah. I've seen some pretty crazy things, but I think every team's got their penalty guy like that.
Yeah.
Dudek wouldn't be able to do what he does now, so maybe that's why I back a modern goalkeeper, because he wouldn't be able to come... He wouldn't be able to stand by the spot.
Can he do everything? I guess it depends on the era, right?
Psychologically, you just... When you know a goalkeeper saves penalties, you're thinking there's a chance here.
Yeah.
And the striker or the person trying to score the penalty will think, he does save a few. Like, you'd love to know what goes through a penalty taker's head as they're walking up. And they'll be thinking, damn, that's Jersey Dudek.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's massive.
What happens if VAR doesn't give that penalty or if Alonso misses the rebound? Do you still think fate dictates that Liverpool finds a way?
I still think we find a way after that.
I genuinely, I know it sounds stupid, but I genuinely, when your name's on a trophy, your name's on a trophy. I really do believe that's true. I think it gets to a point where we're going to win this.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. Again, it goes to that Dudek moment of saving the double save from Shevchenko, where you don't know, and he looks up and doesn't know how or doesn't know why, or this is nothing I've learned as a kid. What's happened? Your name's on the trophy.
Right.
We would have found a way.
Momentum was a thing at that point, I think Gerrard wasn't completely gone by then. So I think we kind of got into 3-3, and then Gerrard kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit, or it was a bit like, okay, let's just see where this goes.
Gerrard had loads more
still
in the tank.
ready.
Loads more in the tank.
He was relentless.
Like, he was ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, when he starts, like, when Gerrard goes, he's almost unstoppable.
Yeah, he's a thoroughbred.
He's a thoroughbred.
Carragher was reaching his limits of where
but
Gerrard,
gone.
But Gerrard, that's why they actually put Gerrard probably back at right back, because it was like, we need a body there just to be able to get in the way, because if the cross goes in, it was about stopping the ball coming into the box.
Yeah.
And that's why when Shevchenko gets that chance, it's like we have essentially failed there, because he gets 2 chances at that. So I think Gerrard's relentlessness.
I still think, regardless, we would have gone something.
It's easy to say that, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah. But, do you have a counter? No, because we won it.
It's hard to say no. I guess this final question I have here, I'm going to phrase it in a certain way, because the question isn't, is this the best Liverpool team of all time? Because I think we can all agree at this table they're not.
No.
But in terms of greatness, is this the greatest Liverpool team of all time? Because of the sheer accomplishment and task at hand?
No.
Still no.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're also very unlucky that Klopp came, 20 years after.
And let's not forget 20 years earlier as well. Let's not forget the teams of Paisley.
What bookends it?
Yeah.
It's too iconic.
There's too much. But that Liverpool team that Klopp built in 2019,
which only played together once.
Ridiculous, huh?
Frightening.
Yeah.
Honestly,
they were just
frightening.
And also, I think like Liverpool, there are photos you'll look at yourself in your life and you look back and go, wow, I was having a bad time then, but I was at a wedding or whatever, having a good time. That's what that feels a bit like. Yeah. It's like, that wasn't a great time.
The one night in Vegas, yeah.
Right. Whereas, there are also moments then when you look at the Klopp side and you go, wow, I was on an all-time run.
You go, wow. When you look at that Klopp side, and again, only Gerrard would get into that team, I think now. I know Carragher potentially as well, but that Klopp side,
frightening.
Frightening. Dude. Like Robbo at his peak, Trent at his peak, Ronaldo, Fabinho, Henderson.
Let me ask you, if you could take one player from that team, just one, you already know the answer.
Van Dijk for me.
Yeah, Van Dijk can play in any era.
Van Dijk, I'll take Van Dijk.
You put Van Dijk and you put him
but is it Van Dijk
this
and
2005 team.
Or is it Van Dijk and Carragher?
Interesting. That's a good question.
I think it's probably Van Dijk and Carragher, isn't it?
I think it's
Carragher would react to Van Dijk in the way that Canate
I think they'd fight.
Yeah.
Because Van Dijk would like to be the leader and Carragher would bounce back, but they would defend for their lives and nothing. Firmino, though,
Firmino would be absolutely insane.
He would be insane.
Or Mane. Bear in mind, we were a little bit light out on that left wing.
I mean, we had Q and John Arisa.
Yeah,
and Mane did feel like he took over an entire flank at times, right?
By the way, I mean, there's a
guy on the other side.
There's a guy that's Liverpool's highest score in Champions League.
But Salah feels very suited to this era of football. Like he's a winger where
Mane would fight because you're going to get kicked about in that era. 04, 05, you're going to get kicked. And Mane would fight. He's a bit of a naughty player himself as well. So, Mane.
Well, fellas, I think that's going to be a wrap here. Thank you so much for coming along this journey.
Recounting
so
one neutral.
I try my best.
You've done well. I would never know who you support.
I wonder if you were another 20 years older or like a 15 years older than this, when you'd be a little bit more salty
the last 15 years have humbled me.
Right.
I think you just appreciate football.
I try.
You're a good guy.
Nice dude.
I like this part of the show.
Right.
But thank you guys so much for coming along this journey, talking about one of the greatest games in the history of football. I hope you guys at home have enjoyed it as well, too. This has been, of course, the wonderful Ade Oladipo and Laurence McKenna. I've been your host, Lyes Bouzidi. Thanks for watching Rematch. Remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We'll see you next time.